Steve, I'll start with you. Yeah, this wasn't very golden, this golden week.
Yeah, that's right. So they head into the party congress, which starts on Sunday with some economic headwinds, perhaps political tailwinds, obviously, as Xi Jinping will most likely secure that president's defying third consecutive term, as they got rid of the term limits for the top man, as well as potentially the retirement age limit. So that political agenda for Xi Jinping will probably, include some of his successes, trumpeting the successes of COVID-0, even though there are signs that the society across China is starting to get really weary about these lockdowns and the ongoing COVID-0 policies, or static management, as they call it in China. But what's happening this week is the plenum, and essentially they are getting their ducks in a row ahead of the party congress, which is China's closest thing, if you want to call it that, an election, where the new leadership teams will be picked, obviously with Xi Jinping at the top of that pyramid. But the plenum is essentially fine-tuning the policy changes or policy points that Xi Jinping will deliver on Sunday, including any constitutional amendments and policy priorities that will be legalized and formalized at the National People's Congress in the upcoming March.
David, your take on the numbers that we got, high frequency data, or even just the official data we got when it comes to just air ticket sales, cinema box sales, tourism revenue down some 26%.
Yeah, what we can say is that the data set definitely released a sluggish trend for the consumption, with the consumptions in the consumption data in the holiday. So yeah, as you said, everything was down, and especially in the travel related spendings by the household, and obviously people were avoiding long distance trip because of the concern over the possible constraint by the COVID-0, and that is what we saw in the market in the holiday.
And when it comes to the Caixin PMI numbers that we got over the weekend, we're back in contraction. What did you see as some of the biggest drags that we saw?
Yeah, definitely for Caixin, because that was mainly the small business, and for the service sector, that was the part that impacted the heaviest in China's economy. So that was not a surprise to me, because everyone knows that the economy, particularly in the servicing sector, things are bad.
Steve, when it comes to the party congress, you're starting to see some signs. People are talking about the Beijing marathons coming back.
Yeah.
Xi Jinping was seen not wearing a mask in some of these national day holidays.
You're latching on to signs.
I know, right?
Tea leaves, reading the tea leaves. Are they going to relax COVID-0? From my vantage point, obviously I'm not in China right now. Well, I am in China, I'm in Hong Kong, but I'm not on the mainland, so I can't necessarily give that direct anecdotal evidence. But
yeah.
I have not necessarily seen any major signs that they're going to relax all of a sudden COVID-0. If anything, they're increasing some of the restrictions, as reflected that we saw in the PMI, the services PMI, with the lockdowns in September in Chengdu, in Lhasa, in Dalian, other major cities. Right now, if you're the head, a Communist Party boss in a major municipality or province in China, the last thing you want to do is have an outbreak, allow an outbreak ahead of the party congress. So I think there's going to be tightening before there's any relaxation, and any relaxation might not happen, might not be actually institutionalized, legalized, legislated until the National People's Congress, the annual session of Parliament in March.
David Qu, what are you looking out for on this Sunday then, in particular, when it comes to economic policies? What is most pressing to you?
Well, can I say nothing? Because actually, actually over the weekend, what in last week caught our eyes was the policies for the real estate sector. But in our mind, that was just some technical adjustment in the market, in the policy side. That was far from enough to reboost the housing market. So that I think I don't tie a lot of hope to that. And for the other policies, we are still watching to see what kind of policies can boost the consumption again. But to be honest, we think that the hurdle is the concern over the various containment measures. So that anything you want to do, you must overcome the hurdle firstly. So that that is why I say, I'm not so I'm kind of encouraged. So we are still looking for some good news, really good news. But just as Stephen said, we don't have any clue on that.